I appreciate y'all for clicking on the video. I'm having a wonderful day. I hope all of y'all are having a great day. Yeah, the weather is starting to warm up a little bit, so I'm super excited about springtime coming maybe a little bit early. Fingers crossed that it does. But we're going to do like we normally do. We're going to go over a few recruits that have came out publicly with their recruitment from Arkansas, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the Charles Bediako debacle and the Trinidad Chambliss denial from the NCAA towards the end of the video. And then we'll just all kind of just recap it so that way I can put a nice bow on it. By the way, if you like these kind of videos, liking and subscribing is always appreciated. It helps independent YouTubers like me out a ton. And without further ado, let's just get into it. So the first recruit that we're going to get into is Timi Aliu. He's an offensive tackle from Locust Grove, Georgia, for the 2027 class. He's 6'4", 295 pounds. Guys, they've got this guy rated as a 4-star. He's a really talented player. He's a top 300 player nationally, top 25 offensive tackle, top 25 player out of Georgia. Well, he's actually the 26th player in Georgia, but, you know, you get the point. He's got offers from Auburn, Cincinnati, Florida, Florida State, Georgia. Let's open it up and see if it'll pull up the complete team list. Just give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. Starlink sometimes has hiccups. I live up in the hills, so it's hard. But anyway, so Auburn, Cincinnati, Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Illinois, Kansas, Kansas State, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, Nebraska, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Virginia Tech. Basically, the whole country's after this guy. And Arkansas is too. So that news kind of broke a few days ago. I'm surprised 247 hasn't updated their player pages, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers when they give us this information for free, I guess. So moving on, I love this guy's name, Shavezz Dixon. Really, really unique, interesting name, easy to pronounce. For a guy like me, that means the world to a person like me who struggles with name pronunciation sometimes. He's got offers from Ole Miss, Arkansas, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, UCF, Virginia, all the way down to Sac State. So he's 6'4", 305 pounds, out of Leesburg, Georgia. He's with the 2027 class, so next year's recruiting class, which is technically this year's. I know it gets a little confusing sometimes, but he's a top 40 inside offensive line. He's top 600 player nationally and top 70 player in Georgia. Would be a really, really nice get. And he's going to put on some weight and get stronger and faster. You know, he's not done filling out by no means. A lot of these kids, they've just got so much potential, especially once they get into college and they get into having actual legitimate personal trainers and better nutrition. So we're just going to quickly move on. This is another guy, Trayvon Hall. He's committed to Oklahoma, but Ryan Silverfield is not scared of that at all. So they offered him, even though he's been committed with Oklahoma since the 30th of November. He's a wide receiver, 6 foot, 180 pounds. He's out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama for the 2027 class. So this would be a great get for the Hogs. Being able to walk into Tuscaloosa, and this kid's got an offer from Alabama. It's right here. You can see it. Being able to walk into Tuscaloosa and possibly, I'm not saying they're going to land this kid, but possibly being able to snag one from Alabama, wouldn't that just make the world of difference to a lot of Razorback fans? You know, any good news is always welcomed. So he's got offers from Oklahoma, Alabama, Florida, Colorado, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Memphis, South Alabama, all the way down to North Alabama. Wow, North and South Alabama, and Troy. There's a ton of colleges in Alabama. It's really, really crazy. And don't worry, we're going to talk about Alabama here in a second. So I think that's all the players that I wanted to go over. So real quick, we're going to talk about the Charles Bediako case. So remember, we've covered it a little bit, but last week Alabama got a restraining order against the NCAA, preventing the NCAA from stopping them from playing Charles Bediako, who, if y'all need a reminder, is an NBA player. He signed NBA contracts. He's been out of college for 2 years. Just absolute madness and craziness. And anybody that says this is good for the sport, you automatically need to know that they've lost all legitimacy, in my mind anyway. This is terrible for the sport, but what Commissioner Sankey did is actually really, really commendable. This is a high honor move from Greg Sankey. I'm going to pull up the big camera real quick. So basically, Greg Sankey's got this problem in the SEC where you've got, issues with teams trying to bend the rules to their will. It's not healthy at all. But before I get into my big, rant, we're going to go over one more situation coming out of Ole Miss, just real quick. I promise I'm going to put a nice, pretty bow on all this. So, the NCAA denied Trinidad Chambliss's eligibility. There was some rumor, or they tried to verify that, he missed some games for a season. I guess he had a sore throat. That's the excuse that they're using. This guy, he's pushing for a 6th year of eligibility. And it's not like he went to JUCO. He was at Ferris State, which I think is Division III or Division II, one of the two. But, you've got a situation where Ole Miss signs Deuce Knight from Auburn, a former 5-star player, but they're still trying to push the NCAA to get what they want. It's absolute madness. This is a sham, people. Absolute awful. So I'm going to pull up the big camera real quick. So the way I feel about it, between the Trinidad Chambliss situation and the Charles Bediako situation, Greg Sankey has a huge mess on his hands. You've got potentially multiple programs trying to go against the NCAA. And remember, the NCAA, as soon as these restraining orders are over with, they can punish these schools for defying their orders. Now, will they? I don't know. But if they had any semblance of authority, they would. You can't let people do this to the sport. We've got to have law and order. And I know it's been the wild, wild west for a few years, but we're seeing now what our sport is turning into. We've got grown men playing college football well past their eligibility. Whether that's right or wrong, that's up for the nation to decide. But the way I feel about it is you should only have a few years to play college sports. You wouldn't let, like I said last night, you would not let 24 and 25-year-old men play high school football. You would not let high school football players play peewee football. At some point, you just age out of certain things. And I know the NCAA does not have an age limit, but at the same time, you've got problems where people are making more money playing college football than they will playing professional football. And so it's just this huge mess where people are refusing to go to the NFL where there's actual law and order and restrictions and guidelines in place, and staying in college where they know they can make millions and millions of dollars because all these college football programs are hungry to win. Everybody wants to go to the playoffs. Everybody wants to win a national championship. Everybody wants to sign the number 1 recruiting class. Everybody wants bragging rights. You want to beat your rival. I get that. I understand that. But at the same time, we cannot let our desire to win outweigh the benefit of rules and law and order. There's got to be at least the illusion of fairness in college football. Otherwise, we've got this huge mess. So Greg Sankey stepping up and putting his foot down on the Charles Bediako case is commendable. I earned a ton of respect for Greg Sankey. And yeah, I don't know the whole backstory, so I don't know everything that's going on. But just from the outside looking in, him saying that, hey, I know that you're Alabama and the SEC offices are based out of Alabama, but we need to back off just a little bit. Otherwise, because the whole country is pointing their finger and laughing at the SEC right now, between the tampering and Trinidad Chambliss's debacle in Ole Miss and the Charles Bediako debacle at Alabama, it's not a good look for our league at all, which Arkansas is a member of. So Sankey had to put his foot down. It's just getting out of hand. It's getting uncontrollable. Pretty soon you're going to be seeing guys on NFL scout teams trying to get back and play college football. And I don't want our sport to turn into that. And I don't think y'all want it to turn into that either. I'm still looking to see what we can do as a community to voice our opinions. Every time I get on this microphone, I try to just tell you what's on my mind and how I see it. I'm not always right. I'm not always wrong. Sometimes, mistakes are made, but I feel really strongly against this. People, we've got to take our sport back. The way things are right now with college football is unsustainable. And I know it's exciting to sign a top 10 portal class. And I know it's exciting to see players develop and grow and, all this. But at the same time, we've got to stay within those guidelines. Otherwise, we're just as bad as everybody else. And I'm not saying Arkansas is doing anything bad. I'm just speaking in generalities, if I could say the word. Generalities. I'll just say it like that. But, Sankey had to put his foot down. The way I feel about it currently is if we're not going to get governed by the NCAA, we need to be governed by our leader. And that's the SEC offices. They need to start getting involved in this stuff and representing not just one school, but the whole league as a whole. Because I know there's a ton of coaches in this league alone that are not okay with a professional basketball player on the same court with college kids. And don't say that European professional basketball is the same as the G League, because it's not. There's very many different levels. That's why they let European pros come and play college basketball, because it's not the same level of competition. And it never will be. There's just way more talent here in America, But I like what Greg Sankey did. I like what Silverfield's doing. I feel like he is trying to make true his promise of this being the best recruiting class Arkansas has ever had. And I'm going to be here with y'all every step of the way. If y'all like the content that I do, subscribe, join our community. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Tell me how you really feel. And we'll all chat about it. I try to respond to every comment. I've been super busy the last few days, so I haven't had a chance to get everybody, but I'm working my way down the list, and I try to get everybody at least some point. But that's all I've got. If you like the content that I provide, subscribe. And by the way, there's a ton of independent creators out there. You've got 4th and 5. You've got the Hog Wild podcast. You've got Tusk Talk with Ty. Even more sports. We all do stuff. We're all just, part of this community. And I really enjoy it. But anyway, that's all I've got. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.